Welcome to Central America. Central America is made up of 7 countries. These countries and their capitals are Belmopan, Belize, Guatemala City, Guatemala, San Salvador, El Salvador, San Jose, Costa Rica, Tegucigalpa, Honduras, Panama City, Panama, and Managua, Nicaragua. This region is located between North America and South America. Central America acts as an isthmus separating the Pacific Ocean and Caribbean Sea. Nowhere in Central America is more than 125 miles from the water on either side. Of this region, 4/5 of it is mountainous. The other fifth is on the Pacific West Coast and is known for its humid lowlands and swampy areas. There are 40 volcanoes in Central America, and several even still erupt to this day. The climate in Central America is very tropical, and on the Caribbean East Coast even receives double the rain than it would on the mountainous side on the Pacific West Coast. There are 40,338,000 people in Central America. 4 out of 5 of these people claim to be Roman Catholicism. The other fifth also claim to be Protestant in some way. However, the need for the gospel is still very prevalent in Central America.
Mi nombre es Leslie, soy del país de Guatemala, el país de la eterna primavera. My name is Leslie and I'm from Guatemala, the country of the eternal spring. Training now for the ministry, I can think of one of the religions back from my country, which is Catholicism, and it's one of the religions that reigns over there in Guatemala. I can think of many times throughout Easter time in Guatemala is a big event where many Catholics come down and they worship their idols. Many of them give themselves to lifting up the idols on their bags and their shoulders, and they go for hours throughout the streets just taking the idols and thinking that their sins will be taken away in that way. And I remember those moments. I know my family and my parents educated me about that. That wasn't right. That worshiping idols was a wrong thing to do. But yet I still did not know Christ as my Savior in Guatemala. My grandma took me to a Pentecostal church, and in there they would teach us the Bible, but they never really said the gospel, and I never got saved when I was in Guatemala. And it was till I got here to the U.S. when I went to a Bible Believing Baptist church, and that's when I got saved. One of the sad things about Guatemala is the government and the police. Growing up around that very corrupt neighborhood, it was called the Red Zone. I would see a lot of people getting shot and killed, and the people themselves did not have confidence or security. They didn't have security coming from the government. The government doesn't really tries to do that, tries to help the people, but they really don't. It's just they just speak, but they don't do anything to help others to make our neighborhoods more secure. And people, there are people that live over there. They make a living out of killing others and going to their businesses and asking them for money. And I think that the sad thing about that is that there's no people telling them the truth. There's no churches over there that they're just in bondage of their sin and of their religion and just trying to make it in life. So I think that having a Bible-believing church that will preach them the truth can start changing one life at a time, and a whole community can be changed, and then that community, somebody from there can go down to another community and establish another church and take the gospel and the truth to them. Although Guatemala is a beautiful country, it has a big need for the gospel. I can think of the land, and the hearts of the people are just waiting for the truth, and God has given me a burden to go back to Guatemala and to go back and tell the people about the truth, and my people, because a lot of my people from my dad's side of the family, they're Catholics, they're lost, and they don't know the Lord, and I would like to go over there and do something for the Lord. The gospel is a big need in Guatemala. The hearts of the people are ready to be harvested, and I can think of the people that I grew up with and how they give themselves to this false religion, and how much their lives would change if they would know the true God that died for them. And I'm so burdened to personally reach Guatemalan people who are in such a need of the gospel, for their lives to change like my life changed.
Hi, my name is Libby Leedke, and me and my family have been missionaries in Belize, Central America for the past 6.5 years. We have many different cultures in Belize. We have the Belizean culture, which is a mixture of Caribbean cultures and Hispanic cultures. And then we have the Hispanic culture, which would be people that have immigrated over from Honduras or Guatemala or Mexico, which is who my family has worked with. And both my parents are fluent in Spanish, and we have started Spanish churches in Belize. We also have the Mennonite culture. There's a huge population there of Mennonites. They have come over from Canada. They have a huge farming community. They work there, and they have hardware stores, and they have fixed the roads and that kind of thing. We have Chinese culture. They own a lot of the grocery stores, and we also have a small amount of Indian culture. Just a lot of different cultures that have all come together, and there's a large variety of people there. Just like the variety of cultures in Belize, there's also a variety of religions there. If you ask a Belizean person, they believe a lot of different things, and sometimes there's a lot of confusion because of that. There's not one main religion, but the Roman Catholics have a lot of ownership of the schools and some of the churches there, but they're not as strong as they are in some other Central American countries. We know of about 4 or 5 missionaries, Baptist missionaries, who have started churches in Belize and all over Belize, but we still need a lot of help there because there's still a lot of lost people there. My parents met in Bible college, and they got married, and not long after they felt called to the mission field. They felt like the Lord was calling them to Ecuador, so they went to Ecuador. They were there for 1 term, and then they came back to the States for some more training with my 3 older brothers. And I was born in Indiana in the United States, and we moved to Georgia when I was about 4 years old. My dad became a Spanish pastor in Columbus, Georgia at Grace Baptist Church, and I grew up there. I went to Christian school there. I went to the church there. I loved it, and I got saved there. When I was around 5 years old, I remember asking my mom, I knew I needed to be saved, but I didn't really understand salvation yet. So she prayed with me, but when I was older, when I was about 10, I started having a lot of doubts about salvation. So she helped me, she prayed with me, and I got assurance of my salvation. I haven't doubted it since then. And after that, when I was around 11 years old, my parents informed me that they had been called to be missionaries again. And we went on deputation for 2 years to the country of Belize. And when we moved to Belize, it was very difficult for me. I wasn't prepared. I was excited to go to Belize. I was excited to be a missionary. But when we got there, it was totally different, like being there and not being able to leave. And so we got there, and in the first year, I struggled a lot with it. And it was very difficult. There's a great difference in the culture there. It's a very poor country, and there's nothing there. There's no stores that we have here. There's no, half the roads are unpaved. It's just very, very different. And the people are very sweet, but they are very poor. And so they basically see us Americans as rich. And it was really difficult for me. I had a hard time making friends, that kind of thing. I was doing homeschooling. So after a while, my mom finally put it to me, and she finally said, look, you're gonna have to make a decision. You can either love it here, or you can waste your 6 years here that you're gonna be here before you go to college, and you can just, let God not use you. So I decided to let God use me, and I enjoyed my time in Belize. I feel like I have been able to minister there to children and just help out in different ministries and learn a lot from being on the mission field, and I wouldn't trade my time there for anything in the world.
Hola, mi nombre es Madeline Cárdenas. Yo nací en Granada Hills, California. Soy estudiante de West Coast Baptist College y estoy estudiando secretariado. Estoy en mi segundo año, último año. Y hablando de mis papás, mi papá nació en México y mi madre nació en El Salvador. Hello, my name is Madeline Cardenas. I was born in Granada Hills, California. I'm talking about my background, my parents, I guess you would say, or even grandparents. My father was born in Mexico, and my mom was born in El Salvador, which is the country located in Central America. They both pertain to Latin America. My dad, great-grandmother, was born in Spain and migrated into Mexico, and she married an Aztec Mexican man. And then I have my mom, who was born in El Salvador, and her dad was born in Honduras, which is also located in Central America, and his mother passed away at a very young age. So my grandfather's father took my grandpa into El Salvador at a very young age, and basically my grandfather migrated from Honduras into El Salvador and met my grandmother in El Salvador, and that's where my mom was born. The Civil War in El Salvador was a huge war that happened in this country, and unfortunately a lot of innocent lives died, which includes missionaries. I can say that my mom at a certain age shared some stories with us, and basically one was that when she was a college student during that time, she would be in school Monday through Friday, but Friday she would come back to her town, from the city to her town, and she basically would see dead bodies on the side of the street. They would sometimes be under their beds at night because of the fire, the shooting and the bombing and everything that was going on. This topic for a lot of Salvadoran people is a very, very delicate one because it's during a war that people just didn't see they were going to come out of it. And because they would see people dead on the streets, I mean, I don't even know, like, I can't even imagine living during that time. So I would say that during that war, it was very, very difficult time for Central American people. So that would be one of the historical events. Events and holidays between both countries, I don't feel like there's a huge difference. I feel like the huge difference for me has always been that their accents are different. So since we're focusing on El Salvador, basically El Salvador is known for pupusas. Pupusas are basically a tortilla, and it has stuffing inside, like beans, cheese, different kinds of chicharron, like pork meat or just meat, and there's also empanadas and all kinds of delicious food. That would be the difference between Mexican and Salvadorian, that they have different kinds of foods.
As we conclude this video, we intended for this project to be very Christ-honoring, and we hope that these testimonies encouraged you. We also hope that maybe in the process you learned something new about Central America.